So we're reaching the five stages, the five stage of the exposition Trópicos Telúricos that is related to the history of the region. So when we're reaching the five stage, we can see that those paintings, well, the four and five stage were related to the modernism and also the reality of the native ones. Because here we had a lot of breeds between people from Europe and the natives, as well with black people that were slaves, were taken to the region by the Spanish conquerors. So those mixes when they got along and they had kids, children, they started a new breed. We have three different breeds between the Spanish conquerors, the native ones, and the black people that were slaves. Okay, we have mulattoes, that is called in Spanish mulattoes, the union between the mix and breed that comes from black people. We have the criollos, that is like a kind of breed. Like you are, when we say criollo, we're like saying that you are half Spanish or half European and half native, because that was a product or the consequence of the union between Spanish conquerors and the natives and the native people here. Also, we have the criollos, well, not the criollos, but the mestizos, that were the breed as a mix between all those races. So, within these people, it was most likely that just the European people had a lot of privilege and perks here at the region because they were the ones that conquered the region, and the native ones were the conquered, were the slaves. So they were obligated to hard work at the fields, trying to move the economy of other region on behalf of the Spanish conquerors. So the Spanish conquerors were like a monarchy. Here we call virreinatos, and that monarchy used to make the native ones and the black people slaves, and due to that, those kind of people they suffered a lot. So these paintings at the five and four stages, they're trying to portray how the native people were feeling uh, regarding this situation that the Spanish conquerors they imputed to them. And since that, those paintings they kind of represent hardworking people like black people or native people working, I don't know, in the fields, mining something, and so on and so on. That is like the intentions of the artist in making those kind of paintings is like to pass that feeling of hardworking of the native people, the slaves here. So he was trying to retreat and portray the national reality of the region as well, and not only El Salvador. Also, when we're reaching the sixth stage, we can see that the modernism is very common at the paintings, since those paintings are trying to portray as well the feeling of insecure people and unsafe people because we were close to a civil war. And why is that so? Will you ask? It is because of what I have just explained before, that most likely native ones and black people here that they breed each other and they make a union and so on and so on. They were like an obstacle for the Spanish conquerors, so they treated them like such as slaves, and most likely just European people and the ones that came from the Spanish conquerors. They were just the ones that had all the privileges and benefits and perks within the region. So the natives and the black people that used to live here, they were treated like slaves. They were treated to hard work. They were obligated to do the hard work on behalf of the Spanish conquerors. And due to that, this kind of art is trying to retreat the feeling of unsafeness and the how the people were feeling insecure regarding they were feeling like they were close to a civil war. They were having resentment feelings uh, to the Spanish conquerors and the Spanish monarchy because they were being treated like slaves. So I may ask you, Sebastian, how do you feel about this kind of paintings, and how will you help me to understand the insecure feelings in the region before the civil war in El Salvador?
I mean, starting at the fourth stage of the exposition, we mainly saw what you explained, the reality of Salvadorians, the hard work that they endured. There was mainly a picture that a painting. Sorry, it was three native Salvadorians working hard in the bright sun. It really showed you the way that us Salvadorians were treated back then. Then in the fifth stage, it really started going towards a modernist and abstract way of explaining the history of El Salvador through paintings. Uh, it was mainly some confusing pieces of art. You mainly have to understand it on your own way. Uh, that was mainly the idea that the artist had. That was what the guide tried to explain to us. She left us to our own interpretation to understand how the history was trying to be explained through those type of paintings. Then going towards the sixth stage, it was the stage where people were really scared of what was going on in the country, as Christian explained. Uh, there was mainly one painting that it looked like a splat of painting, but it really had multiple meanings. The main one that I saw was a mother carrying her children trying to flee the country, being scared of the reality that they were living through. But I remember there was a girl in the exposition that said, no, that maybe is a train. Um, Trying to symbolize the way that people as a union tried to leave the country. It really amazed me the way that in just one painting, many people could get different meanings from it. Continuing through the sixth stage, you could see really bizarre paintings in a really profound way, like the next one to the girl with the children. There was it really looked like someone had destroyed a painting, but it was the artist's way of explaining how dark and obscure the reality of the social and political reality was going through El Salvador.
Yeah, for sure. For me, the most interesting thing is how the artist can portray the faces of many people here at the paintings. So those paintings they feel real because you can see in their faces how they feel insecure and unsafe, and they may try to get out from the country. In order to avoid the civil war, in order to protect their children, their families, uh, the, their things. So, in spite of that, I feel like the abstract art is kind of difficult to understand at the first insight because abstract art has a lot of modernism in it, and the modernism uses a lot of symbolism, which is not meant to be for everyone. And that is a thing that I could make like such as a criticize to the abstract painting because not so many people will understand that, but it gives you a lot of symbolism that has a lot of meaning as well. Now we're reaching the seventh stage of the exposition of Trópicos Telúricos, which is most related to the close feeling for the Civil War, as well. Uh, we're seeing like during the Civil War in El Salvador, the paintings they take one step ahead, trying to portray how the people were having a lot of rancor and resentment, you know, because the Civil War was a process during the most people they suffered a lot. They lost friends, they lost family, they also they lost themselves because they lost their lives, you know. So that process is kind of hard to tell because the people uh, the people who left behind so many friends and family during the Civil War, they were not happy. Absolutely, they were not happy. They were suffering. They were having a lot of rancor. They were angry with the government, with the national forces, you know, the military. And also, the Civil War was very related to the Cold War between Russia and the United States. Not Russia, but the Soviet Union and the United States. So, in regarding that stage of the history in our region, it is hard to tell uh, how it affected the region because it has affected the region and the country in so many ways. It also made that many people feel unsafe, but many people they got the violence in their blood, you know, because they were accustomed to the seeing watching the violence between the TV on the streets and like close to them, because there was a civil war happening in that time, and those feelings of unsafeness were very uh, very abstract and complicated to understand because it was like like one of the first time that many people lost their lives, their friends, their family. It is not like the moments of independence from the Spanish monarchy. It was different, a lot different, because the ones that were suffering was the society, the common people, you know, not a political entity, not United States of America, not Soviet Union. The ones that were suffering were the people here, the Salvadorian people, the natives, the ones that were left behind by the government in by that time, and that and those people that were being restrained by the governmental forces, by the military, and in spite of that, we moved on to the egg stage, where we can see that there was a migration, a big migration in the region due to those civil wars that were getting along in other countries. You know, we had a civil war in Guatemala, we had a civil war in Honduras, we had a civil war in El Salvador, we had a civil war in Nicaragua. We had a lot of civil wars that obligated the people to leave their countries in order to get to a safer place because they were feeling unsafe. They were feeling like their lives were in danger. And since the danger feeling was uh, very inside their heart, their mind, uh, they were obligated to seek for a refugee, to seek for a haven, and that haven was the United States, the United States of America. Okay, so most likely the people that were having that migration in the region, they were appointing, they were seeking to reach the United States of America because they saw like the American uh, the American peace and the American publicity and so on and so on. So they thought that the United States of America was a haven for them. They were uh, they were tired of all those civil wars. They were tired of all those conflicts. They were tired of the violence, the unsafeness, and they were insecure. So over that basis, uh, they saw the United States like as a refugee. Okay, so in the X stage of the paintings, there was one painting, but not one painting, but one art exposition that was made from $quarter coins. So as you may see, the $quarter coin has like an eagle inscribed on it. So the artist that made that a map with a dollar with $quarter coins. So he took the eagles from the coins and patched it in the wall, trying to represent the map of all America. Well, actually North America and Latin America. Okay, and why is that so? Will you ask? Most likely in the structure you will see that like all the eagles were placed at Latin America, at Central America, and not in the U.S. And why is that so? Because most people that were having that migration were coming from the Central America region. Okay, they were coming from El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and they were seeking for the United States. That's why the artists used the eagle as a symbol of the migration that was having the region. Also, we're reaching for the ninth stage, like we passed away the eighth stage of during the Civil War and the unsafeness and the migration problem, the migration crisis, and we're reaching to the time right after the war. And that time right after the war was accompanied by a very unsafeness feeling, a lot of rancor, a lot of resentment. That many people they uh, they started to not trust anymore in the government, in the military, because they felt uh, like they were going to revive those feelings that were in the Civil War. And since that, we had a lot of problems here, such as the gangs, the mobs, and that is well portrayed at the exhibition because you can see in one painting that was made actually it was made recently 2021 by a Salvadoran artist that he painted like someone with a t-shirt roped around their head and so on, but with a positive meaning, a positive message, not like a gang. He doesn't have like any gang tattoo or so on and so on. But if you see that painting, you will see that you can relate that person to a gang or like he's a gangster. But the thing is that the painting doesn't involve anything regarding a gang or a gangster. And that's the thing, that since the Civil War created the gangster and the violence and the delinquency here at the region, most likely people felt insecure, but not now because of the Civil War, but because of the gangsters, the violence between the streets. And that made a stigma between the people that whenever they see someone has tattoos, they relate that people or that person to a gangster, to a gang, like, oh, he's a gangster. And that stigma is very well known here, especially in El Salvador. Even our president has made and has created a special how can you say a special place where he can place and with the government, the actual government took all the gangsters to put in secot, where they don't have any prestige, when they don't have any perks, benefits. We have right now. It is like a punch in the face to the gangsters and the gangs here at the country, but it also is a consequence of the rancor and resentment that most likely people have here. About the gangsters and mobs. And by the time right after the Civil War, now we are facing the tenth stage of the exposition, where we are facing a syncretism, a cultural convergence, when the artists they try to take into account different styles of European styles, Nordic styles, Asiatic styles, Oceanic styles, African styles, or also American style. We have our own style uh, to make paintings that may have a meaning for most people around the world. That those paintings they have a message to be sent. That we are a region, we are a country with a lot of culture, but also with a lot of conflict. We have chaos. We have chaos in a region. We can see one painting that made me feel amazed. That was the Liberty Park here in El Salvador, but being destroyed, like trying to portray the Civil War time, or also to portray what was feeling the people here in El Salvador when they were facing the gangsters, before this code was created. And that makes me feel like amazed because the artist had the ability to to place into one painting, to to put into one painting all the feelings that people were having regarding the gangsters, and also regarding the unsafeness that they were feeling before the SICOT was created. Right now, we're facing a lot of security. We have a better system in the police, and most likely we will not face anymore. But by this time, uh, any gangster again. So, what do you think about this new secretism, and what do you feel when you say when you see that painting of someone with a t-shirt wrapped around his head? What do you think about it? Is there a stigma within our society, or we are just having a lot of rancor and resentment about the gangster and the mobsters and the civil war?
Well, firstly, I would like to start as you started in the seventh stage. I wanted to give like a reminder to ourselves about. For me, it really fascinated me the structure of the whole exposition. It was kind of a spiral, and when you got to the seventh stage, there was a painting where the artist tried to portray some kind of generational trauma because you saw the different generations like grandmas, your parents, yourself, your kids, the dead ones. Uh, it showed the scared faces of everyone in this country. It was placed there to kind of like being the painting that was looking at all the past of the country, the trauma, the political, social, and everything was going wrong in the country basically. And the painter really tried to portray the feeling of trauma and how scared Salvadoran people felt going through the eighth stage. You mentioned the coin ones. Uh, what I understand about that, it was like every single eagle from the coin was every Salvadorian or maybe Latin American that fled from their countries and took United States of America as a refugee. It really amazed me because you saw like a huge amount of eagles going towards United States. Many stayed in El Salvador, but it amazed me the amount of people that fled the country. Then going through the ninth stage and answering your question, it was what the graffiti one, the gangster one. It was actually himself who he painted. The painter actually has non tattoos and tried to, like you said, give the stigma that Salvadorian people have towards the people with tattoos. He had like a national football team, well, soccer team on the arm, different tattoos that really did not represent any type of gang of or mob. But the guide asked us, everyone, what do you see in this painting? And mainly everyone said, I see a gangster, because that's the way that we've grown up with that kind of stigma, and our parents taught us that people with tattoos are mainly dangerous people, gangsters. But then the guy, it was kind of funny because she explained, then I'm a gangster because she was filled with tattoos in her arm. And she really hit us with that kind of reality that we are going through a different time here in this country. But it shows you, like I said, that kind of generational trauma that we have bestowed upon us. Through that kind of stigma that tattoos bring to Salvadoran people. Then going through the 10th stage, it was really showing like the the present era that we live through, because it was still paintings, but not every single one of them were paintings. There were also pictures taken by photos. was like trying to show us how different it got in the country, and how free we are to explain our feelings through art. Uh, and yeah, that's basically it.
Sure, yeah. The 10th stage showed like a different face of El Salvador, because like in the 9th, 8th, and 7th stage, and the 6th one as well, we saw like an insecure feeling, we saw war, we saw people having a face like, oh my God, I'm feeling very bad. They were not happy. But in the 10th stage, we're seeking like a different stage in our life. We're seeking like a different feeling. Most likely, we'll see paintings that they look more happy, more colorful. Like they were not trying to portray and represent a bad feeling. They were trying to represent like a change, like you're having a redemption arc. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember there was a painting at the end that it was a circle and there was a door in the middle. It showed, well, the guy explained to us that it was like the light at the end of the tunnel, like us as a country living that dark stage that we live through, and going through that new stage that we're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. That represents a lot. That El Salvador is now aiming to a different stage, a different feeling, to a happiness feeling. Right now, we have a secure feeling here in our country, and thanks to that, most likely Salvadoran people are changing for better. You know, they're trying to change their heads about the insecure and unsafe feeling, the bad attitude. We're well known, such as. Uh, very warm people that we receive a lot of strangers, foreigners, and we don't receive them like we are bad people. We receive them with warm gestures, with warm words. We are very we have a lot of models in our actuation. So thanks to that, we can have a different. Well, we can have a change of mindset, and the syncretism at the end, like the syncretism at the 10th stage, shows how El Salvador can change, how El Salvador can move on, and leave behind those negativity left behind by the civil war and the gangster wars. Thanks to that, we are now facing a lot of different progress, especially in security, but also in tourism. We are now facing a lot of foreigners coming to our country, and that makes you have a lot of different perspectives, point of views about the art. And that is the thing, that is the syncretism, the cultural convergence. Thanks to the foreigners that come to our country, we can now have a different culture, a different art that we can show to the world as a new one. So thank you so much, Sebastian. This conversation has been very good. I appreciate your feedback. I think that the exposition and the exhibition of art was very good and explained a lot of our history, portrayed a lot of the feelings of the people in the national reality, also a bit of the region reality, because we shared we shared a lot of history. We shared like we shared the Cold War, the Civil Wars. We shared identity a bit, and so on and so on. But I thank you so much for your time, and I hope we can see a different type of exhibition in the future.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was really a pleasure to have the conversation about how the exposition really showed us our history throughout many years, and it was a really nice experience. And yeah, as you said, hopefully we could go to another exhibition in the future.
Thank you so much. My name is Christian. My partner here is Sebastian, and we have had a conversation regarding Trópicos Telúricos, an exhibition in the Museum of Art from El Salvador. I thank you so much, and we will see you later.